Hello, I'm Barb Hyman, CEO and founder of Predictive Hire, and I'm joined today by Keri Foti, who is the Head of Talent Acquisition at the Woolworths Group. Welcome, Keri.
Hey Barb, welcome and welcome everyone that's listening.
So, obviously, everyone in Australia knows who Woolworths is, but we do have a global audience. Could you just give us a bit of a flavour for the business and the role that you've had leading this quite tremendous transformation program?
Wow, yeah, Woolies supermarket. It's probably iconic for its supermarkets. Number one Australian retailer for goods and services. Like I said, mainly food, but in obviously our fleet, for a better word, is also our supply chain, our big W. And even though under current situations, we also support the recruitment of our liquor brands, which is Endeavour Liquor Group, which is what we call in Australia BWS, and Dan Murphy's. Even though they're not part of the Woolworths fleet anymore, our talent acquisition team does support the recruitment of all of those retail brands and Metro as well.
So give us a sense of scale, Kerry. How many employees are there in the Woolworths Group? How
Yeah,
many people
sure.
do you typically hire per year? And how many people try and get a job at the group per year?
Yeah, we're good with scale, Barb, I've got to tell you. In Australia, 180,000 employees or team members, as we like to refer to them. Yeah, it's pretty big, isn't it? Crikeys, I think we've just come off what I would call our biggest recruitment campaign that I have ever done in my time with Woolies. 10 years in recruitment, but 40 years with Woolies in whole. We haven't even finished the year, and at the 9-month mark, we had done 50,000 hires. So it was probably the biggest I have ever seen.
I think you are the biggest recruiter in the country, outside of maybe government. And how many applicants do you typically get in a year?
Unique
You know,
applications about
I think it's about one in five. I remember of the population you
yeah.
touch through the recruitment process. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, it does. I think unique applications that we got in that period where we did the 50,000 hires was 850,000, but usually that means a million applications. So uniquely, 850,000 people reach out to
And
us to
and
get a job
so
at Woolies.
you're rejecting in six figures. You know, there's a lot of people that want to work for the brand. It's incredibly loved in Australia. I think it's one most trusted consumer brand many times. And that, I think, was one motivation for wanting to change the way recruitment works. But maybe before we get to that, what I'd love to hear from you is in the 10 years that you've been leading the function, what's changed in market? What's changed as, more important today than maybe it was a while back when you were first in the role?
Geez, yeah, so much has changed. Obviously, technology and how the advancements in technology. I think I sort of remember when we first started recruitment, stores used to faxes their requirements, on a fax machine. That was not that long ago, really, when I think about it. And I think the other thing that has changed just for Woolworths is, you said, a very iconic brand in Australia, but we've grown so much in 10 years. So our scale, I think, is probably the thing that probably most, like there's nothing we do in Woolworths that I would say is small. And when you say we're big and it's huge. I don't think you really realise that until you're actually in Woolworths, and I don't think I've really realised that growth. In the 10 years. 10 years ago, we were very almost store and state driven for recruitment, and in 10 years, we've matured into what I would, you would normally, I think, you would call it a shared service model, a national recruitment. Program that we recruit from a centralised location. So I think they've probably been the most significant changes. And I think too, candidates' expectations have changed so much in those 10 years. I think 10 years ago, I think hiring managers would have felt like they had all of the power and they were empowered to make the choices of people being successful. But what has shifted in 10 years, that's not the environment. People that want to have a job at Woolworths or anywhere are feeling like they have more of the power of choice and, you know, how they want to and make a choice of who they join. So I think that's probably what I've noticed in the last 10 years particularly.
So how has that impacted on the change objectives? So candidates having more power, that is particularly the case now globally. What does that mean, Woolworths wanted to change? What was not candidate friendly or candidate first in the way that you used to do recruitment?
Yeah, I think if you just reflect back on those numbers, potentially in a year, 1 million candidates want a job for Woolworths. And like, my heart of hearts as a true recruiter, wanted to make sure I could give those 1 million candidates the best possible, candidate experience. Just on that scale, it's actually almost impossible. So you can't do that without some sort of, support, technology or transformation. So when we started this search about if we sort of thought of every single candidate being a customer in Woolworths, how would we want to have them left feeling, whether or not they got a job or not? So one of the things that was really key to us, both from a talent acquisition point of view and a business point of view, was that we wanted each candidate to get something from the process, even if it wasn't a job. Giving something back was really important, and no matter what the outcome was, I got the job or if I didn't get the job, we wanted them to be left feeling that they would still be advocates for Woolworths and still make a choice point because the experience was so improved, or it was, an enriching experience. I would still make the choice of going to shop at Woolworths, whether or not I got a job or not. And they were the significant gaps I think we had in any of our recruitment processes that we had before. So every single candidate to get some sort of feedback or to get something back, and for them left feeling like they had at least a fair chance to get a job at Woolworths.
That fairness piece, that for me, what I've seen in HR has really changed as well in terms of a focal point. Did you feel that the way you used to do it was not necessarily optimized for fairness, and do you feel this is giving you a better, giving everyone a fair go in a way that's different or better than what was there before? Like, how important has that been, particularly in Australia, hiring First Nations? I know Woolworths cares a lot about, and you want to have a employee base that really represents the diversity of the community that you serve. You can't have all, Australia is not like you and I. It's much more diverse than that. How much was that a factor in your decision-making process or your desire as an organisation to change the process?
Yeah, I think when we started the transformation and what choice points were we going to make as, what was the assessment tool, for a better word, that we were going to use to help us with that funnel. Like I said, we wanted to definitely give something back, but also we wanted to be able to unlock, the data and insights. All right, we really wanted to get under the hood of that candidate diversity pool that you're talking about, and we know that there was lots of limitations with different companies that we talked to. What we really liked about the predictive hire model is that the data and insights that we actually got allowed us to get under the hood and look at things that might not be landing quite as well as we wanted, to make sure that we've got that representation, allowing us to use that to tweak, all right, and understand better how we could present as part of the second interview process a much more diverse, candidate pool. All right, so by presenting that more diverse candidate pool, naturally what you would hope would happen is selection becomes more diverse. But the tool that, obviously the predictive hire tool allows us to really dive into the data and insights. And I think we do that with predictive hire, I think every 6 weeks. And we've been able to really sort of learn together and change and think about, it's not just looking back at predictive hire, it's also Woolworths having a great opportunity to look at some of their practices and what would we need to change. And I think that's what was, really unique for us in this program of work that we've done collectively together.
So Keri, Woolworths Group is a very impressive and admired ASX listed company in Australia for how they're leveraging data across the business. And Karen, the CHRO, has always said to me that she wants the business and the HR team to be a fast follower. How much was the business's strength around leveraging AI and data, helpful in what change you were driving? Because our technology is AI based, and that presents its own challenges in listed companies in particular. Was it helpful that you were bringing it into an organisation that was already, very aware and very embracing, if you like, of AI on the business side? Or did that not make a difference to the process?
Oh, I think from, yeah, where do I start? From a business point of view, I think, purely operational lens, it was really easy for them to see the benefit of using the AI tool, because the one thing that the business really wants is you to move quickly. Speed is their big hawk. How quickly can we get team into stores? Now, remembering, this was our very big volume recruitment cohort, which is, of that 50,000, nearly 90% of them are casual store entry level roles. They need them now. So they love the fact that we were able to pitch very strongly that we could deliver on that, and we did. I think we went, we know that in those first few months we took 10 days off time to fill. So we really sold that to the business, and they were like, yep, we get why we need it. I think the other lens that I found really quite challenging, and I think challenged my resilience on a day-to-day basis, and I struggled almost to have buoyancy to come back from this on a day-to-day basis, was there was a challenge around landing the AI, mainly from an ethics point of view. And I was really challenged, although very supportive in Woolworths. Like every time we were trying to sort of go live with the process, for a better word, there felt like there was always another hurdle put in our way. And I think a lot of it, they kept bringing back, stories of, AI used in Amazon as an example, and I found it really, really hard to sort of be challenged in a way that what they were telling me just didn't really make a lot of sense, because I had so much understanding of the AI that we were using with Predictive Hire. And I don't think I would have got through that and the challenges from ethics and IT governance without this being a really collaborative partnership with Predictive Hire. Barb, that you helped me immensely being able to help Woolworths, particularly because of the new AI, the ethics and the IT governance. You helped me actually articulate and understand those challenges that we had. And every single hurdle they put in front of us, I think with your partnership and your team's partnership, we were able to sort of work through it to the point that we were able to scale and we were able to go live with it. But it was a part of my, 40-year working career with Woolworths that at times I thought I was never going to be able to get there, because I didn't have all of the understanding that I needed to have the confidence also to say that this is a really safe product. It's not like the Amazon, AI, it's not. So I think that was probably, but from a business operationally point of view, that was the easiest showcase and the easiest part of this whole process. I was challenged
Look, I
daily.
think you were kind of, right in the middle of the enormous global change of AI. It's the fastest growing tech trend ever, but with disruption comes fear. And unfortunately, the media's done a really wonderful job of labeling all things AI as somehow synonymous with bias and not being human. But actually, when you look at the academics and the experts in this area, if you use the right data, and as we all know, the issue is with CV data as an input is where you bring in the bias and amplify the bias. We don't do that, but if you use the right data and you have the right governance, AI is a lot fairer than what you would get with a human. And in fact, we're also seeing humans prefer it. So I'm interested in, the 975,000 or so that are rejected, and what you've seen their experiences. Like, has it met Woolworths' expectations? Do you think people want to be interviewed by an AI chatbot? Do you think they care that it's AI, or is it more about what the experience is for them? You know, what have you seen in the feedback from candidates to Woolworths?
I think candidates love it. And I know candidates love it because our data tells us that, right? I think, it's just sort of the sign of the times. There's very few, I think, I have very few, escalations. I can't even think of one that I've had that says, I actually don't want to partake in a job with Woolworths because it's not a human, or I can't put my best foot forward. And we know that our candidates love it because our data and insights tell us that, right? Through predictive hire, insights sessions that we run. So I know that. But I also think, just on the back of that, if I hadn't gone through some of the challenges with the ethics and the IT security, I don't think that, I think it's given me even more confidence, and it's given Woolworths more confidence, and therefore our candidates more confidence around that it is a safe tool to use and it delivers exactly what we need it to deliver. So you almost have to go through those bumpy roads to get to a really great place. So, yeah, I just don't know how we could deliver what we have done in the last 9 months without it, to tell you the
Well, that's what
truth.
I was kind of interested to ask is, what if it all just turned off today? What would happen? Like, who would call you? Who would be angry? Who would be disappointed? What would it look like if you didn't have this in place?
What would it look like? I think the first escalation I would get would be from the business to say, how come you're not getting team into our stores fast enough? All right. I think sometimes candidates don't know what they don't know. So if we didn't have it, they wouldn't necessarily know that Woolworths, is recruitment is sort of different. They would wait longer to get a job, and we would probably miss out on some potentially really good candidates because they'd go looking sort of elsewhere. But I think that the biggest issue that we would have is we would not be able to deliver quickly the volume that we deliver to stores. But also, I think candidates would have a very compromised experience because it would be quite seamless, because it's not just the first interview that we do through the AI. We also then use the video solution with Predictive Hire as well, which is the second point choice around our hiring managers being able to view a video of the shortlist of candidates as well. So we would lose all of that seamlessness that we have, and I would probably need to increase the talent acquisition team to about another 50. So
Okay.
I
Okay.
probably have the finance people
Yeah.
telling me, how come you're over in costs?
So on the video side, we didn't have that product when we started to talk to you, and we felt we could build it, and we teamed up with you as a design partner, and the whole experience went live. And I think it is still pretty globally unique to have this fully automated blind chat that then, based on a score, automatically moves people through to the next stage, which is video within a chat. And, there was a lot of concern, legitimately, from Woolworths around, is this thing going to work? And, you also had experience with video that didn't meet your quality expectations. Just tell us about that. And, I'll also say, as the CEO, I was very reluctant to put a video in because we are all about blind and giving everyone a fair go, which is why we never offer the video standalone, and we always offer it secondary at the second step. How did you find that experience of partnering with us to build it out? Really acting as a design partner for a tech company, and then what's the experience been for your candidates? Because there's a lot of commentary about candidates not liking video and dropout rates of 50%, 60%. What's been your experience, Keri?
Yeah, so firstly, thank you, because we did have a very not so great video solution. The biggest issue was the quality. So, for Predictive Hire to partner with us to build that, the quality of the video is, amazing. We know that candidates love it because candidates can do it in their own time when they want to, and we know that through the advocacy that is sort of driving. I have very few escalations around I'd prefer not to do a video interview because I think I can present myself better face to face. I think in the last 9 months I've probably had two. But I think the biggest challenge for us was not with the candidates, but it was with the hiring managers. We still have, in Woolworths, hiring managers that do want to see candidates face to face for whatever reason. So the change curve for some hiring managers was probably quite significant. And that wasn't just with the predictive hire solution, that happened, the 12 months before. The reason we introduced the video solution was because of COVID. We couldn't do face-to-face interviews, right? And therefore, to have the first interview and the second interview being seamless with predictive hire saved us both on time. Candidates' experience is seamless. So I think they were the benefits of bringing the two together. And I think, as always, I think with Woolworths, we probably could have done a better job with the change impact, but because we were working on such speed to deliver, because we needed to solution, for that, I think we didn't have enough time to land the change impact. I think it's much better received now because, as I said, the number one benefit is speed to hire. So because that helps us deliver that. So there's choice points, right, that you've got to make as a hiring manager. So if you took the video away, again, I'd probably need 20 extra team members in the talent acquisition team to book the face-to-face interviews, adds time to it. So I think, from overall, and with COVID, we wouldn't have been able to, we couldn't even do interviews when we didn't have the video solution. And I think the one thing, I don't have a lot to thank COVID for, but the one thing I do have is I don't think we would have been aggressive around our technical solutions without COVID across Woolworths, not just in talent. Has been a wonderful platform for us to move the agenda quickly, and people therefore accepting technology much quicker than what I've seen previously.
Keri, something I've always observed and admired about you and the way you've led this is that the business has been a really embedded part of this process. And, you always reference the business. This is what the business needs. How do we help service the business? That is often a real challenge for HR to get them at the table. Tell us about that. Did that come from the fact that you've got this incredible web of connections that means that everyone just looks to you? Oh, Keri, we trust you. You're making the right choices. How did you get the business at the table? And why is that so important for this program of change?
Yeah, and when I say business, it's really important. It's not HR doing business with HR. This is really operational lens. So I think one of the things that we really did as part of this program is when I said we started all of our research with listening to the business, and that was listening to stores, the hiring managers in stores. So we started with that. What were their pain points? So when we then had to sort of escalate or showcase those pain points and the solutions for those pain points at very senior levels operationally and through CMP or HR, we were able to demonstrate strongly that our case for change was built on listening to pain points and solving pain points from a store point of view or a hiring manager point of view. I think that really gave us the kudos that we needed. So when we started what we called the roadshow to say we called it Recruitment Reimagined at Woolworths. So I really like, slick name, isn't it? Recruitment Reimagined. We had them hooked on day one because the first slide said, this was what we heard, this is what the pain points in stores are, and this is all of the solutions that we have. Because obviously in order to do this, we had to get the funding to do it and to change it. So that's what the showcases were all about. So I think it always comes from really intensely listening to what the pain points are at stores, solving for those, and then presenting in that sort of leadership spine, both through HR and both through operations, that our proof points of success will be because we're solving for those. And I think that was probably the best stage for success for this program because we had them at that first slide. Yeah.
That's so powerful, listening and replaying that back to get the buy-in. On the consumer, the candidate experience side, so everyone's talking about candidate experience, it really matters. But actually, when you look at, and when you think about consumer brands, retail brands, grocery brands, so much money spent on marketing, getting people in the door, it's kind of that last meter that really matters in terms of, how does that person greet me in the store, whether or not you feel like you want to come back and have another shopping experience. But, we struggle to see businesses measure and quantify a good or a bad candidate experience. Like, I know you care about it because you're so loyal to the group, but, honestly, does the business really care, and do they see quantifiable value or cost if the candidate experience is bad? Do they go, if we lose, if our candidate experience dips by 10%, that means we lose $2 million at the counter. Is there a mindset around that now in the business? Do you think that's coming about the positive benefit and the cost of a poor candidate experience in retail?
I think we've made really good headway in that space. I would say probably in the last 5 years. Like, I'm just trying to think. I've been here leading it nationally for 7 years, and I think it was really a bit clunky in those first few years. I think there was a real sort of mindset that it was almost like candidates should be grateful that we're giving them a job at Woolworths. I have actually seen that shift, all right? I have absolutely seen that shift. I think, always we'll have pockets that candidates' expectations are sometimes quite challenging to meet. There is, because the number one thing I think when you're recruiting, high volume of casuals is the availability of rosters, and there isn't sometimes I think the flexibility that you would like to see with hiring managers, being more open to that sort of flexibility. But we've always had the mantra, and I do feel like this is absolutely true. Operationally, is the candidates are our customers. All right. And if they're not, I can tell you for sure, their mums, their dads, their aunties, their uncles, or their grandmothers are. And I do really feel that that is true to who we are at Woolworths.
The experience of applying for a job now using Predictive Hire is a chat. It's 5 questions that are looking for the Woolworths values and the profile that Woolworths believes defines success in store. And, there is a tradition in retail, particularly retail grocery or hiring of low-skilled people, that it's too much to ask, that they don't have the capability to do that what they'd rather do is pick a box, what they call situational judgment questions. And we've had real challenges with big retailers saying we don't believe our talent pool is capable of responding in this way, of sharing a story of who they are. What do you say to that, Keri? Because I don't think I ever heard that challenge from you.
And I haven't heard it from any of the candidates either, or the hiring managers that we put through the process. I think in this day and age, I think that's how, I don't know, that's how everyone talks, right? Like
Yeah.
everyone, I just feel like it's just so uniquely right for the times that we're living in. I don't book a restaurant if I can't do it on my phone online, all right? I don't know many people that actually pick up the phone anymore and talk to people. I think what we're solving for is what people really want as part of an experience, not just through recruitment, but it's life. At the moment, we want it to be simple. We don't want it to be, friction. We want it to be with seamless, with no friction. I just think it's just so uniquely appropriate for how we actually live in this time, and that's what I loved about it, right? But I wasn't alone, right? Because we know that our candidates love it, because we know that through the data and insights. We know that our stores love it, because even if they don't really uniquely know how we get a team member to start with them, they know that we have delivered on one of their pain points. And I've got to say, I think our time to fill before it was 23 days. I thought that was pretty good. But now to take 10 days off that and have candidates starting in stores within 13 days.
That's quantifiable. Yeah, that's
It
for
is,
sure
right?
quantifiable as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Keri, you might not, I know you're very humble, you might not know this, but you are absolutely a mascot for digital transformation. There are loads of young, ambitious talent acquisition professionals out there who I know are going to listen to this and wonder, how do I find the courage and the experience to lead a kind of program that you have across the Woolworths Group? Like, what advice do you give to young, not necessarily young, anyone in talent acquisition who wants to embrace change and take their organisation through change?
Yeah, gosh, I don't know. It's a tough one, right? Not really. I think what it is really do your research, really listen to the business, all right, and then listening to the business about where it's hurting, and then do your research about how you solve for those pain points. I don't think you do it on your own. Like, I did not do this on my own. I have an amazing team that supported us through the whole process. And even though at times it does seem really hard, like, I don't know, like dealing with the unknown, and even with my 40-year career with Woolworths, I was learning new stuff around ethics, IT, security. It was like blowing my brain, and I kept saying to myself, do I have the resilience to do this? But I truly believed that we had to solve for. We couldn't keep doing recruitment as we were doing, so I had to solve for that, because I felt true in my heart of hearts, but also I had all of this research like backing it up. So it just wasn't, a gut feel. I felt really confident about what we were doing. Don't do it on your own. Trust your instincts. Do your research. Yeah, and get support around you. Don't be afraid to ask for some help and advice, and find a really good company that that you can partner with, that feels like it is part of your DNA. I think that's really important.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Keri. I've got one more question, which is, now that you're on the other end and it's live and it's working and the business is seeing the value, and I know you're about to move into a new role within the organisation, as you look back, how does it feel now? Do you feel, well, I won't put words into your mouth, I'll let you express it. I'll say that for me, when we were sitting in the conversations with the data scientists and the ethicists from Woolworths, and where they finally got to a point where they say, this is an ethical plus for the group to be using technology like that, because that is our mission, is to educate people that AI actually is fairer than having humans do that at the first gate. And in your case, it's the only way to do it, given the scale. How do you feel at the end of this journey?
Really proud. Not proud of me, but proud of what the team have delivered. Like, it's just, and to think that we've delivered many, many challenges for our store teams, but more importantly, our customers, because we've delivered. Hashtag nailed it, I reckon.
Through COVID, Omicron, floods, you absolutely nailed it. Thank you so much, Keri. It's been wonderful to hear your journey, and I hope we can stay close as we grow together in Woolworths, with Woolworths.
I'm sure we will.
Thank
Thanks, and
you.
thanks everyone. Bye.